Wholeness, welcome. This is Josh of Inner Skilled, and today I have Laura Bratton with me. Laura, how's it going today?
Great.
Cool. Hey, so I have this question I normally ask people as kind of an introduction. Who is Laura? What kind of work does she do?
I'm gonna say the work that I do and then explain that'll connect to who I
Sure.
am. The work that I do, I'm a speaker, coach, and author. And what I speak and coach on is how do we navigate through change using the foundation of grit and of gratitude. So I speak to companies, organizations, associations, school groups, education groups on how do we navigate through change when we experience major change. How do we allow that change not to stop us, but how do we empower through that change? And the reason I speak on that, and that's my profession and passion, is because of my own life experience. So I was diagnosed with a super rare eye disease. Even now, at 41, it hasn't received a formal diagnosis. So I became totally blind as a teenager. And obviously, that's a major change. So I had to figure out, how do I navigate forward rather than just giving up on life and giving in to the change. That's why I say all my work is informed by my life experience.
Well, right on. Yeah, and I don't know where to start with this. I'm just wondering, I'm sure you probably get a lot of questions about blindness and stuff like that. What makes this particular interesting to me is that they don't have a diagnosis. That is pretty wild. I don't know how much we're totally okay to gloss over this and not say much about it. And I don't want to make it a huge focus of the thing, but it is kind of fascinating to some people, I'd imagine. And I wonder if it would make sense to describe your experience of what was happening, and how that then relates to what you're doing now. Yeah.
Yeah. So my emotional reaction when I first started to lose my sight, a significant amount of sight, my first reaction was denial. I'm not going blind. I'm just losing a little bit of vision. Or by the time I graduate from high school, it'll all come back. Or I would tell myself, okay, if I just pray enough, if I just manifest hard enough, my vision will totally come back. Again, I didn't believe that. I was just trying to convince myself that was just survival mode. The denial quickly wore off, and my mindset and my emotional experience was the intense grief. I can't accurately put into words the grief I experienced from the loss, because I knew how easy life was with sight. So with that grief came intense depression as I was grieving what my life used to be like and how I had to adjust and adapt. And then coupled, as I grieved with that depression, was deep, deep, deep anxiety that manifested in panic attacks. So that was my initial mindset and just my initial experience to the significant vision loss. Because remember, I'm a teenager. So just going through all the initial normal teenage adjustments are hard enough.
Exactly.
So that made the grief even harder and deeper.
Wow. Yeah. And really not having anywhere to turn to, right? I mean, I'm sure you went through I'm just guessing that you went through the mill of, professionals and specialists and, probably even beyond that route is what I'm guessing. And, nobody really has any answers, right? Or anything like that. So I'm wondering, I guess, about how long did the grieving process last, and what was it like? Kind of, and maybe you still are in the grieving process, because what I've been told and what I find helpful is that there is no limit there's no time limit to grief, right?
Yeah.
But like so if you want to talk a little bit more about if you're still in that, if you've navigated out of that, how it was going through that or in that, and then what emerged? Because obviously you're not stuck in that, and
Right.
you've come out very strong and capable and very helpful to all of us. So yeah, talk a little bit about that
So
process.
yes, I would love, love, love to talk about that grieving process, my experience with that, because that's not talked about enough, or at least it wasn't for me as I was beginning this whole process. So I want to start talking about that by a conversation that I had with a mentor. And the conversation, it'll become clear why I'm starting with this. So the week before I started college, I was in an administrator's office and we were talking about my schedule and professors and just going over everything. And at the very end of the conversation, literally, I was standing up to walk out the door. And she said, Laura, I just want to talk to you about one more thing. And this had nothing to do with the meeting, but she said, I just want to give you permission that it's okay to grieve the rest of your life. I know that you think you should have grieved the 4 years in high school, check the grieving box, and move on. But I want to give you permission that you can grieve and move forward all at the same time. And I also want to let you know and just give you permission at different points and stages in your life, you will grieve. And that's normal and that's healthy for what you've experienced, the magnitude of the loss you've experienced. So I share that story and that interaction to say the grieving process has continued. It's not near as intense as it was in those initial high school days when I was initially grieving, but the grieving process is always there. It's always a part of my human experience because of the intensity of the loss. And just like that mentor taught me, and you referred to, that doesn't mean I'm stuck in the grief and can't move forward. It means I can move forward with courage, with resiliency, and the grief is still there. So both can be true at the same time, where I originally thought it was one or the other, right? Like I grew, combine my words, I grieve and then I move forward. But she gave me permission to know it's okay to do both.
It really is great. Because it for me going through certain type of grief, it was like a huge weight off my shoulders, and kind of almost any challenge I feel that I don't know about any, but a lot of challenges it seems is that what if I had to what if it was like this the rest of my life?
Right.
And here you are. That's a really big possibility. But
That's a big, yeah.
it's a big possibility, but it's not impossible. But we don't know. But like for any challenge, that scenario, I think takes a weight off that that it could be like, and then okay, that if that's the case, well then, here I am with this, and yeah. So yeah, that really helped me to put certain challenges in perspective too.
Absolutely. And then to answer your question about, so obviously, I'm not stuck in the grief. How did I move forward?
Yes.
I 100% move forward by the support around me and also the gift of mindfulness. So I'd love to break each of those down if I can.
Please do. Yes, I'm big
so
into
completely
mindfulness and
different.
friendship. That's right.
They're so completely different, yet they're so interconnected. So, what I mean by the support around me is I'm in this intense grief, as I'm in this intense anxiety and depression, and wondering, is there purpose and meaning in life? Is it even worth moving forward? It was the support around me through their actions that helped rebuild my sense of self-worth, my sense of confidence, my sense of purpose in the world. And I want to make it very clear, it was not through their words, it was through their actions. So I had the incredible gift of my parents teaching me, Laura, yes, this is overwhelming. Yes, it's uncertain. All we have to do is take it day at a time. So
Totally.
basically, they didn't say it in these words, but basically what they were saying was live in the present moment. right? Live in the present rather than being overwhelmed by the fear of the future or depressed by the past.
Absolutely.
So that was incredible support to me. And also, it was the support. This is not going to sound like support when I say it, but I promise it was. I have one older brother, and he just continued to treat me like that annoying little baby sister. Right? Like he's like, oh my gosh, you're still annoying, right? Like our interactions didn't change. And the reason I say that was such a gift was because that normal relationship was the source of healing when I didn't believe in myself.
Yeah.
So with everything in my world is changing, it was such a source of strength to say, yeah, I still have that brother who thinks I'm annoying, right? Like that's still there. And that was such a source of strength. So it was the gift of community, that inner dependence, that healthy inner connection, not that dependence like do everything for me, I'm victim, but rather that healthy interdependence of we need each other. And in times of deep grief and loss, we need each other even more. So I can't say enough, and we can ask all the questions you want or come up with anything about that support system. I can definitely any questions or want me to say more about that before I talk about the mindfulness?
That's right. I mean, I could imagine that, yeah, probably some people tend to make a big deal out of something like this, right? When they meet you, and it's understandable, I guess. A lot of people don't have reference points for this, right? So, I mean, on one hand, I'm imagining you have to anticipate like special treatment,
Yes.
even more so than you would want, right?
Oh, yes.
On the other hand, it's like, okay, don't they remember, I mean, maybe in some instances it's the other way around. Like, okay, like how am I supposed to do what I need to do here, people? Because you're not even, like, or whatever, right? So, I mean, you have these two different ends of the spectrum, I guess, right?
You're totally right.
Yeah. So.
A funny thing that I promise happens to me all the time is people talk louder and slower.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When you talk about like different treatment, I'm like, guys,
Sure, yeah.
that's not going to help me see better. I know I'm from the South and I know I talk slow, but talking slower is not going to help me see better. I promise. I just have to laugh about that.
Sure,
it's like, seriously, guys, come on.
Well, right on. Yeah, and what you said about mindfulness too, it really did help me because and it's right. I mean, maybe it's an oversimplification, but like when I'm in the past too much, then it does tend towards more sadness, and depression. And then if I'm too far in the future, planning too much or anticipating what could go wrong, then I get anxious,
Yes.
So there's a lot to it. And if we really look at it in our own experience, if we examine it, that it's the past has already happened. We can't go back and change it. And actually, anything we think is in the past, it's actually just a thought happening right here in the present moment, right? In one sense. So there is no real past in that way because we're experiencing that right here and now. And the same way with the future. It might seem real. It might seem like this is really going to happen. But the thing is, that's a thought right here, right now, in the present moment. So that really helped me a lot to kind of to see that to come more into the present moment too.
Me, that was 100% my experience, and I have to admit, when I was first introduced to mindfulness, I was very resistant because I was like, "Oh, that's not deep enough. That's never going to help me. Like my anxiety's worse than that." I was so resistant to trying it. And it wasn't until grad school when I took a course in it and started to practice it that I realized the gift of what you're saying, of being in that present. And for me, what was very, very transformative, and I'd love to hear if this was your experience, learning that we can observe thoughts, that we don't have to become our thoughts.
Yeah, it was a huge game changer for me
That
too.
was an absolute game changer for my anxiety, for my depression. I can just observe that I'm feeling. I don't have to jump into that story.
Exactly. So super helpful. And the mind has no shame a lot of times. It will come up with things and it will lie, and it will come up with all kinds of fabrications. So we have on some things anyway, in my experience, we have the option not to believe our thinking too. And yeah, and I still am I would say somewhat decent degree. I don't know if it's decent, over-identified with my thinking. Now, some
Oh
people
my
might
gosh, yes.
over-identified with their emotions or, their body or whatever, right? But like for me, I totally identify with my thinking. And then once I first heard, I'm not my thoughts, I was like, what? Oh my gosh. What if that's the case? Oh my God. That was big to just consider and contemplate that because that's who I am. I'm my
I was
thoughts,
gonna say, wait, I thought my thoughts were me. You're exactly what you said. Like,
Exactly.
I didn't
Yeah.
know there was a difference.
Yeah. It was
Right?
so
That
wild to
was,
know that.
it was so freeing. For me, it was
Yes.
intensely freeing to realize, oh, I can just observe, not be or not judge.
Yeah. That's a huge one too. The wisdom I got around judgment too is that I think there is some misconceptions around that in some sense because at least because I don't want to judge. I don't want to be judgmental towards someone, right? So I think even just having that concern and that effort is not really, then I'm not being judgmental. It's only when I judge someone and then feel better about myself, I
Right.
consider that judging, right?
Right. I
That's the real
agree. Yes,
judging,
I
right?
agree.
So sometimes when I pass, or not really pass judgment, but like when I catch myself, thinking something or judging something about another, and I don't really want to. I wonder sometimes, this is a teaching from someone else, that I wonder if that's just an identification that, okay, I honor you and respect you, but that's just not for me right now. Whatever
Right.
I was judging, it's just
Absolutely.
kind of an identification of, that's just not, maybe that's okay for you, but for me, that's not for me right now.
Not for
So
me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
And then, yeah,
I would
go ahead.
also love if your experience, another major gift of mindfulness that I received was learning the body scan. I had no
Oh yeah,
idea how much tension I was holding in my body. I mean,
totally.
I didn't realize, I would just be sitting in class and have my fists clenched,
Yes.
like I
Yep.
didn't realize I was holding my shoulders so
Yeah, yeah,
tight,
yeah.
clenching my stomach.
Yep.
I had no idea the tension I was holding in my body, and just the gift of a 10-minute body scan, right? Like it sounds so simple now to say, but it truly was a game changer because it
Yeah.
taught me to listen to my body.
Big time. And the body's not going to lie, the body
Right.
doesn't really lie. And there's what's that book, The Body Holds the Score. Yeah,
The
for me,
body
like
keeps the score.
score,
Right.
yes. My posture when I first started meditating was so kind of, I don't like to use atrocious, not the right word, but there was some slight spinal, um, what do they call it? Not scoliosis, but it was kind of a slighter version of that.
Yeah.
And like maybe for almost a year or so of my daily sitting practice, it was a lot of times just me almost constantly readjusting my posture
Readjust.
because it was so, not straight. And now I have better posture just by bringing mindful awareness to the body and adjusting. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And my shoulders too. And it's so many things that released. And it's amazing how some emotional things and memories in the past can be stored in certain areas of the body, it seems like. And when those things relax and release, then there can be like release on multiple levels too. Yeah. It's amazing how much.
And then also I found with the body scan, again, learning to listen to my breath.
Oh, wow.
Because again, when I was anxious, I didn't realize I would like hold my breath or like short, shallow breaths,
Yep.
like breathing from my throat. And mindfulness taught me breathe from your diaphragm, right? Like,
Sure. Yeah.
again, so it sounds so simple now, but it was such a game changer. And even earlier today, I was thinking about it after a few Zoom calls. Again, focus on your breath, right? Like, are you breathing those deep, healing breaths?
Yeah, and I mean, most of us, even with a meditation practice, that even on mindfulness of breathing, it can be really elusive. It can be really hard to stay aware of the breathing because
Yes.
it can be very fairly subtle. Now, when we get really still and we're not distracted by other things, then it can be more noticeable. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's an energy too, right? The breath
Yes.
going in tends to energize, and the breath going out can relax. It
Release.
bridges our mind and body and emotions. It kind of ties everything together. So yeah, it's a great practice too. Yeah, amazing practice. So yeah, like what else did you learn anything else from mindfulness, or tell me about your practice? Do you have a daily practice, meditation or mindfulness practice?
I do. So, what mindfulness taught me is that focusing on the breath, focusing on my thoughts, the body scan can all be integrated into our daily life. And that was the gift of, just as I mentioned, after a Zoom call to focus on my breath. I love how mindfulness is integrated into our day. Yes, it's obviously something separate that we can focus on at specific times, and yet it also can be woven throughout our everyday. I love that gift. It's always accessible, right? Like it's
Yes.
always there. The practice that I do daily is gratitude.
Yes, and let's before we transition into that, which I love too. Let me just say something about, and I don't know if this is insensitive or not, but I would just say that some, meditators will close their eyes a lot. So I'm wondering, if that, I don't know. I guess you didn't meditate before this happened, but in a way, I guess I have some solidarity because I have a 2 hour a day meditation practice, and my eyes is closed most of the time during that. So
Yeah.
in a way, if there's anything, it's at least in my experience, I because the visual field can take up so much data and so much processing power. I notice when I close my eyes that a whole new world opens up to me where
Yes.
I'm not going out because our society, at least it seems to me, has conditioned us to be in the external so much and to disregard or not look inside or go within, right? So then when I go within, then I can realize, oh, there's this whole internal world too. And I want to ask if you want to say anything more about integrate, because a lot of practitioners, meditation practitioners, have challenges taking what they do on the meditation cushion into their daily lives, right? And
Yeah.
like you said, the breath is always accessible. That's
Yes.
if we remember to pay attention
Right.
to it. How many times can I forget
Right.
to
Right.
do that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I get the question a lot when I've done different meditation practices and trainings. I get the question a lot. Oh, you keep your eyes open when you meditate? Absolutely not. If I have my eyes open and have my eyes closed, I cannot meditate with my eyes open. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Again, people make that assumption. Oh yeah, you just meditate all day long because you can't see. I'm like,
Oh no. So
no,
tell me
because
about that experience though. Yeah. How is it
so
different
when
for
my
you?
eyes are open, I'm perceiving light.
Oh, okay.
I'm perceiving shadows. I'm
Okay.
perceiving. So it's like I'm not in a
Oh
meditative
yeah.
state when my eyes are open.
Oh yeah.
I
Wow.
have to have my eyes closed
Okay.
to go into that inner world, inner
Yeah,
state.
yeah. Got it.
So yeah, and to talk about the integration, that's so
Sure.
true. And for me, and I've learned from mentors, it has to start by slow reminders. So even just by setting a reminder on our phone at lunchtime, take 5 minutes to do a body scan and to focus on our breath, right? So to be able to integrate it
Yes.
in our day, or just like I'm saying, 5 minutes in between Zoom calls, right? Or like
Yeah.
10 minutes before we start eating breakfast. So again, just starting with those slow reminders helps me in my lived experience
Yeah.
integrate it into our everyday.
Well, that's awesome, and I love that word emphasis on slow reminders because it kind of disrupts that. Okay, I got to do this quick,
Right.
right? It kind of like disrupts that and brings
Yes.
us back to
Yes.
our nervous system and
Yes.
Okay, so gratitude. I would say maybe probably for 10 years or so, I had every morning before I even got out of bed, I would just start before I got out, I would set my intention for the day, and then I would just start naming things at random of whatever came into mind of what I was grateful for. And it didn't really even have to make any sense. And I just, you know what I mean? Like, just like, just whatever, the carpet or, the dust on my wall. I'm kind of making a little bit joke, but yeah, we can, imagine if we could be grateful for everything, in some sense. Of course, abuse is never okay.
Right.
However, we can, okay, what, now this has happened, where can I find the silver lining? What can I be grateful for within this? Or what can I be grateful for with my relationship to this, or how I view this now,
Right.
or how I hold this now? So yeah, I found it immensely helpful, mainly because I couldn't be in conflict with something I'm
Right.
grateful for,
Right.
So,
100%.
so tell me about your work with gratitude and why you find it so important and how you practice it.
So again, I want to start by talking about gratitude by sharing a conversation with a mentor, because with another mentor, just like the grief, permission with the grief is how the gratitude started. So I want to make it very clear, I was not feeling grateful as I lost my sight, right? Like when I was
Yeah,
having
no doubt, right?
panic attacks, depression, going blind, I was not feeling grateful, right? Like there was no gratitude in my body. And one day a mentor said to me, Laura, I want you to cultivate a mindset of gratitude. And so I want you to start by focusing on three things every day at the end of the day that you're grateful for. And I want you to start by reflecting, thinking back through the day and naming 3 people, events, situations that you're thankful for from that day.
Yeah.
And again, just like the mindfulness, I didn't think it would work. I didn't think I had anything grateful for. I thought the mindfulness was like just trite and ridiculous and just like a cliche, right?
Sure.
And so out of my stubbornness, I said, okay, I'm going to give it a try. And I'm going to prove to her I have nothing to be grateful for. The one day became a week. The week became 3 weeks. 3 weeks became 6 weeks. And what I realized is she was not teaching me to be grateful for the blindness, for the difficulty. Rather, she was teaching me to cultivate a mindset to be grateful, what helps me navigate through the blindness.
Oh, beautiful.
So she was not teaching me to wake up and say, I'm so grateful to be blind. Let's all try this, right? This is a great way to live life.
Yeah.
Rather, she was teaching me to wake up and say, I'm grateful that I have a guide dog that helps me navigate the world. So it's a reframe of our experience.
Sure.
So I want to be very, very clear. My understanding of my practice of combined my words again, of gratitude is not minimizing our pain. It's not minimizing our emotions. It's not minimizing our human experience. Rather, it's acknowledging what we do have to help us navigate through this human experience.
Wow, that's beautiful and so well put. And I love your honesty too, because no one's going to really pull one over on you. It seems like,
Right.
I think that's one of the worst things we could do is be inauthentic and pretend something is some way when it's not. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
why I tell people, these affirmations they're okay, but for me, I'm thinking of a one TV show in the '90s where this guy wore a sweater and he would say, "I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, doggone it, people." So I thought that was hilarious because this is ridiculous, and I was doing the "I love yous" to my heart, like a teacher, and it's just like, this doesn't feel right. This feels so sappy.
Right?
Exactly. It's like, this feels oopy goopy, which I don't know if is a word. Somebody asked if that was a word actually, but I was like, I don't know. I need to look that up.
Good to get the point across,
So,
right?
right? But like, this being honest, that is a form of self-love. So
Right.
not deluding myself, not trying to lie to myself. That's a form of self-love, and it takes
Right.
courage for some people who it doesn't come natural to.
Right.
But that's right. And so the alternative for me for these thank
Affirmations.
you, affirmations, is an aspiration. So with an aspiration, I've got, okay, this is how it is now. This is really how it feels for me now. Now, whether it's true or not, that's another thing, because that's another thing. It might feel real, but a lot of times it's not true.
True.
When something. But what I
Right.
can do now is I can say, okay, this is how it is to me now in my experience, and yet I can aspire to this. I'm not there yet, but it's
Oh,
a goal for me to get to. So that way I'm not lying and deluding myself now.
oh,
And I
wow.
can see the value of where I want to go, what I want to train towards, and then I can aspire there instead of deluding myself that I'm
Wow.
already there when I'm not. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my gosh. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for sharing
yeah.
that. I
I know.
love that because I've
Mhm.
always had those thoughts, but never thought about it so clearly as you just laid it out. That's a beautiful analogy. Like,
Yeah,
this is where I am, but this is where that self love is where I want to go. I'm not there yet, but that's the
exactly.
goal. Because otherwise, it's like you're tricking yourself, right?
Exactly, exactly.
So
It doesn't
that's
feel right
wow.
to me either,
It
right?
doesn't. It
Yeah, I can
doesn't.
see the value in it, but I can also see I'm not there yet, but I'm training to get there. And yeah,
Ah,
so it's
that's
the best of both worlds for me,
wow.
right?
That
Yeah.
is so well put. That makes so
Appreciate
much
that.
sense. Because again, to me, that's part of mindfulness, right? Like we're
Oh,
not
totally.
where we want to go. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to remember that. That's powerful.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, it's helped me a lot because I would see these like new age people in their affirmations and I just kind of turn my stomach sometimes. But I could also see, okay, well this might work, but I can't do that. I can't,
Can't do
part of
it.
my path is truth and honesty, and authenticity, and it just what didn't feel honest and truthful to me, But I could
Right.
see the value into it. So
But
that
I
yeah,
see, and
that
that way you're
that's
not
the
tricking yourself. You're
exactly.
you're empowering yourself, right? Like saying,
Absolutely,
"This
yeah.
is where I want to go.
Exactly.
This is
Yeah.
the end goal."
That word aspire is a great
Oh,
one. Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm gonna use that. Thank you for
Yes, please
sharing.
do. Yes, yes, I share freely. So the other thing is grit you talk about. So to talk about grit and how that's important to you and how you see that and how you use it.
So I love the word that you just used and talked about. That's where I aspire to be. That is so much how I define grit. So first, I want to say how I don't define grit.
Sure.
So grit is not, in my understanding of my life experience, push on, sweep it under the rug, don't feel your emotions, get over it, be strong, look happy all the time, right? Like that is not my understanding of grit. My understanding of grit is exactly what you said. This is where I am now. I'm really, really anxious. I validate that emotion and that feeling, and I choose to keep going even in the anxiety.
That's
So the
great.
grit is yes, this is how I'm feeling, and I acknowledge I choose courage.
That's awesome. Yeah, courage is another big value of mine too, because and so is truth. So you have to be really courageous to face some truths,
Yes,
in life,
yes, yes.
and to turn towards something that's uncomfortable, unpleasant.
Unpleasant.
But I know it's going to be helpful if I do. So that takes
Right.
it takes courage to do that. Yeah.
It takes courage to say,
Mhm.
hey, I'm really anxious right now. But like
Yes,
you said, I aspire to be in a place where I'm less anxious. So it takes a lot of courage to choose that every day.
it
Right? I mean,
does.
on
And to
some
keep
level,
going through it too,
right,
Yeah,
right. Because you can't sit there and wait till the anxiety's over and then move
that's right.
forward. Or I couldn't, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the grit for me is the power of just having the courage to validate our human emotions. Because as you said, it's really, really uncomfortable and scary to acknowledge I'm in pain.
Yeah.
I'm in sadness. I'm in doubt. I'm in uncertainty. To acknowledge those human emotions. And for a lot of us, me included, it's also hard to acknowledge I'm actually joyful right now.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm actually feeling
yeah.
good right now,
That's
right?
right.
Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm actually in a place of self-love,
yeah.
self-compassion.
It's a really good point because and that is so when I do formal compassion practice, that's one of the phrases that's one the phrase that I start out with is I acknowledge this pain, whatever it is. It just sometimes that's enough right there.
That's enough.
Because I mean I've well lost in whatever, and then once I just pause and acknowledge what it is instead of trying to get out of it right away, right? Just
Right.
pause and say, okay, this is happening right now. This is the
This,
way it is. Just
and I was,
acknowledging
yes,
it.
yes.
And
Even,
and then caring about. Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, no, I was just going to give the quick example, just
Sure.
acknowledge how it is. Sometimes for me, that acknowledging how it is going in the bathroom, closing the door, and just bawling my eyes out for 5 or 10 minutes. Just acknowledging
Sure.
this
Yeah.
is my pain, this is my experience, and I'll keep going, right? But for these 5 or 10 minutes, I need to acknowledge these tears.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just acknowledging what is. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the next one I usually do is like, and I care about this pain, and
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and carry, that's the toughest phrase for me too, because
Yes.
sometimes I don't, well, then what I do is when I don't really care about it, I will say, I care about this to the level that I'm able to now, that way, if there's only just a tiny bit of care there for it, then I can just acknowledge whatever level of care I have. But sometimes I have compassion for the fact that I don't have compassion,
Right.
So
That's
that's
to
helpful
honor
too.
that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. And
And
then may this
again,
pain.
that's that.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
y-
that lack of self judgment, right? Like just saying, "Why am I so?" You can frustrate yourself if you don't have self compassion. Just being in that space.
yeah, that's right. Because we can. It could be more painful if I think, oh, I should have compassion right now, but I can't, and then judge and blame myself for not having compassion, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And then wanting it to release, and then may I be at peace. So it's just this well wishing, or this wishing that's what I want. I don't want I want this pain to release, and I want to be at peace. And these are the phrases that I can practice towards myself, and then towards others too.
Others.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because the value once what I found once I give myself that acknowledgement of pain or that self compassion to acknowledge how I'm feeling, it's easy to extend to others.
Yeah.
Once I acknowledge it in myself, and also, I'd love to hear if this is your experience. Once I can acknowledge it within myself, I can more easily receive it from others.
Oh, absolutely, 100%, over 100%, probably, if that makes sense. Because the same way with kindness, right? Like, even like some of the scriptures say, love your neighbor as yourself. But if I don't love myself, how am I going to be able to,
Right.
love
Love
another
my
the
neighbor.
way I could? Yeah. So yeah, that's right. Once I know it in my experience, then it's easier for me to then show it to another in the same way, right? And also, I don't. Getting external validation from another or getting anything else from another, it's like I have to be able to give it to myself too, because
Right.
I'm the only one that really knows to the extent and the best way that's needed for me, because I'm with myself more than anybody else is too.
Right. Right. 100%.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't agree more. That is so true.
Yes. Well, Laura, this has been great. I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your journey, and all these things we've talked about. I think are applicable to everyone, and no matter what situation they're in, no matter what challenges or lack of challenges they're going through.
Yes, I was
It's
gonna
just
say lack of
yes,
challenges,
exactly. So this is life, and everybody has something. There's everybody has something they're dealing with. It's not to belittle anyone else's experience. It's to it's to say that, okay, we're not alone in this. We all have ways that we connect, and things we're going through, and challenges we face. And we might think that we're alone, but more than likely, even if we're going through something really weird and strange, more than likely there's others who are there with us now, doing going through the same thing, and that we're not alone, and we're in this together. And then once we kind of master what we're going through, then we can help others too, or even like you're saying, even while we're going through it, people like that's probably one of the reasons I do this show too. Is even though I haven't made it to where I want to be yet, I enjoy sharing the journey along the way. So if others want to listen in and find any value, if I just help one person, I think to me that's the kind of the satisfying thing that
I agree. And what I would love just to touch on quickly,
Sure.
if I can,
Please.
what you said so perfectly made me think when you were saying when we feel alone in our experience. Also, what I found really helps me is, yes, someone might not be going through exactly what we're going through, yet the emotional experience of pain and difficulty and the human experience is the same emotions. So I say it's been so helpful for me to find that connection and not feel that loneliness, not feel that loneliness, not just say, oh, I connect with other people who've lost their sight as a teenager, right? But to say, connect with other humans and the human experience.
It's very well put. These universal aspects that we all experience, no matter what the external or internal environment's like, no matter what happened or hasn't happened, there are these things that make us human, and one of them is pain, not that I want pain for anyone, but there's as far as I know, there's no human out there that will get through this life without pain, so. And joy, so that gives it joy. I would imagine. Maybe there are some rare cases, unfortunately, but for the most part, everyone can at least relate to joy at some point. And so many things. Yeah, it's peaks and valleys, as I once had a supervisor tell me. Life is a series of peaks and valleys.
That's so true. It's so simple, but it's so easy to remember. If we could just remember that, or if I could just remember that on a daily basis when I get so frustrated, like nothing's going right, it never goes right, to remember that's not true. There were lots of peaks and there were lots of valleys. It's just in the valleys we forget the peaks.
That's right. Yep, you have to look up at the peak, and then when we're at the peaks, look down at the valleys, I guess, because we're going to be going to one to the other soon enough. Nothing lasts forever.
100%.
Oh yeah. Well, cool, Laura. This has been fun and helpful for me, and hopefully anyone listening has found some use and maybe some joy too along the way. So why don't you tell people where they can get in touch with you, where you have where you have speaking gigs, and I thought I saw you founded was it UBI? I'm trying to think of the name of it. Yeah, so tell people about that and anything else you want to draw people's attention to. And then when you're done with that, you can take the podcast out on a final message you'd like to leave people with.
So the best place is my website. LauraBratton.com has all the information about my speaking, coaching, connect on LinkedIn, connect through email, and then also all the information to buy my book, and all the information is there.
Well, hang on. Before we do that, first spell your last name. And sorry I should have jumped in there a little bit sooner. And tell people the title of your book, and just say just a little bit about it too, please.
Yes. So the website, my last name is Bratton. So the website is laurabratton.com. And the book is titled Harnessing Courage. And I wrote the book telling my personal story of becoming blind. And constantly throughout the book is the theme of what I speak on and coach on, grit and gratitude. And so I talk about from my lived experience how grit and gratitude were a resource, and constantly turn it back to the reader and say, okay, with what you're experiencing in life, again, the peaks and the valleys, how can you apply grit and how can you apply gratitude? So it is the point is, the purpose is to be an empowering resource. That as others are going through adversity and difficulty, you can pick up that book and read it. It's not a book about blindness or you need to be losing your sight to read it. It's a book about all of us just going through our human experience and resources that we can use. And the reason that I titled it Harnessing Courage was very deliberate. I worked with the editor a lot on sticking with that title. I've had 2 guide dogs. And the leather strap that goes around the guide dog and that I hold the end of that leather strap is called the harness. So it took a lot of courage for me every day to pick up that harness and trust the dog. And then for the dog in turn to trust me to take care of them, right?
Sure.
So in respect for those 2 dogs that I've had, I named it Harnessing Courage just out of deep gratitude and respect for the dogs. And then also the harness, we have to harness courage every single day as we navigate through life.
That's beautiful, Laura. Yes. All right. Is there anything else you would like to leave folks with?
So what I would like to leave folks with completely relates to harnessing courage. And that is, as we all go through the ups and downs in life, the difficulties, the changes, the joys, the gifts, the losses, the pain, remember that in it all, we each are enough. And I say that because, especially in difficulty, we forget our value and we forget our worthiness. So as we close, just close remembering, knowing, trusting that you are enough.
It's a beautiful message, and I think very, very timely in the place that we're in this world right now. A beautiful reminder that we don't have to say, do, or be anything in particular to have our light shine and be enough and of value to everyone. So may all beings everywhere out there come to know their true worthiness and their amazing grit and optimal gratitude. May all beings everywhere realize awakening and be free. Bye now.